What's up, everyone? It's Phoenix here, bringing you guys a review of Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. Okay, where to start? First of all, it was okay. It was definitely not as good as the first. But it wasn't terrible. I mean, I understood why it was the way it was, right? This film is basically just all set up. First of all, watch the first film before you see the second film, okay? Watch Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them before you see The Crimes of Grindelwald. You really need the background information and to really process the information in order to not be confused when watching The Crimes of Grindewald. In fact, you really need to watch the first 8 movies, or at least, to be able to understand what is happening in this film. And even then, you might want to read the books, because an average moviegoer is going to find this very, very, very confusing, okay? It's going to be very confusing for you if you have never read the books and go to this movie having only just watched the first film. Despite them not being based on books, not really anyways, they're very confusing if you have never watched or read the books. Because there's information in here where if you don't know what they are, you're going to be really confused. And the only way to know what they are, what they're talking about, what they're doing, is to watch the first 8 films. And even then, not all of the information is actually in the first 8 films. A lot of it is in the books themselves. All of the details, the things that you need to understand are in the books, and not really in the movies. I mean, if you watch the movies, and then you watch the first 8 movies, and then you watch, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and then you watch The Crimes of Grindelwald, you'll probably have a decent understanding, but there's still things that you're going to miss. Like, you kind of have to read the books in order to understand the terminology and the things that's happening in the movie. And in a way, that's good and bad. I, for one, have read the books, seen the movies, done all that, so I understand. I mostly understood what was happening. The only thing that I didn't understand was basically things from the first film, because it has been a while since I actually saw Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. So I didn't really understand a couple of details that you really need to have watched the first film to understand. See, this is the thing about the Harry Potter films in general, especially, this basically spin-off series, if you will. Despite them not being about the books, they have no books attached, which should be a good thing. However, it heavily relies on the fact that you have read the books. It doesn't explain much. It doesn't really tell you anything. There's a lot of Easter eggs and little details that you won't understand unless you have read the books. It really is that way. I would feel bad for someone who is going into these Fantastic Beasts and Crimes of Grindelwald completely blind. Not having read the books, not having watched the movies, because you are not really going to understand everything that you see. It really is not something you're going to understand, because the films basically assume that you have done all of those. They assume that you've read the books. They assume that you've seen the movies, they assume that you saw the first one, which, I mean, that's a fair assumption, but it does heavily rely on watching the first film and understanding the books. If you're an average moviegoer and you're wanting to get into the series by watching only the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them and that series, unfortunately, even though they are not based on the book, you're probably screwed and probably should not choose this franchise to go into. If you're an average moviegoer, right? You're not really going to understand it. You're going to probably get confused. And you're probably not going to understand it. I know I'm repeating myself, but that's really the basis of it. You're not really going to understand much if you don't know what happened in the books. Especially, the most details that you're going to want to know are in the Deathly Hallows. Because there's a lot of details that were explained in the Deathly Hallows, about Dumbledore, about Grindelwald, or about some other things that is going to help you understand what is happening in this film. Now, this film is the second part of a 5-part series. So there's 3 films after this. I am assuming that the 5th film is going to be when the battle happens between Grindewald and Dumbledore. I'm assuming the other 2 are, again, going to be more of a setup. Because, honestly, once the battle happens, that's going to be it. And I highly doubt that a 5-part series is going to solve that in the 4th part. Or the 3rd part. Which, honestly, I don't know if this series needs a 5-part series. Honestly, it should be resolved by the next film. But it's not going to be. I can already feel that it's not going to be resolved by the next film. Especially since it's a 5-part series. I really enjoyed this film. I really enjoyed this idea of getting to see the adults, doing their thing. And that was great for the first film. For the next 4 films, I was hoping they would... I mean, we've already got the taste of what the adults do in the Wizarding World. They just really needed to delve into that. And delve into, Grindelwald and Dumbledore and do all of that. But there's not much of that, actually. I don't want to say that it's a bad film. Because it's not. It looks good. It's has a lot of great, visuals and cinematography and acting. I think that the story is just being dragged out unnecessarily. Right? I know the story. I know what's happening. I know what's going to eventually happen. But it's being set up so slowly that it is kind of confusing to watch. Because it's not going to be resolved by this film. And, that's kind of a problem because it makes, the middle films be kind of dull because everybody's anticipating the end. If you know what happens at the end, that's what everyone's looking forward to. And so the next, 2 films, I assume that's going to happen. Unless they change their mind and do a 3-part series, which honestly I would. But if they stick to the 5-part series, then the next 2 films are probably going to be just as dull as The Crimes of Grindelwald. Because, it's all setting up to this one big moment that doesn't happen until the 5th film. Or whatever they're going to do. I think everyone probably knows what happens between Grindewald and Dumbledore by the 5th film. It's just... I don't know. I mean... I want to have hope for this series because I honestly thought this series would be really good. Because it has the freedom of not having a book attached to it. I mean, it does, but it doesn't at the same time. However, I mean, while this is a good book to movie adaptation in the sense that it sticks to the lore, it sticks to all of that, it's also not, simply because it relies heavily on the fact that you've read the books and you understand what's happening in this world. If you haven't, then you're kind of going to be lost. Very lost. To the point where you might not really understand what's going on at all. They don't really explain everything in this movie, or in, even in the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, they didn't really explain everything. They go off of the assumption that you have read the books. And that's kind of it makes sense for book to movie adaptation. However, these two films are technically not book to movie adaptations. They are based off books, but they themselves do not have a book. Okay, the only thing is like the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, the textbook, which basically only has encyclopedia of of creatures in this world. It doesn't have a storyline. It doesn't have this, it's not based off, these films are not based off of that, although they kind of are. And because of that, they're being advertised. I mean, everyone knows that there's no books attached to these films. So, as an average moviegoer, you would assume that, okay, since I have not read the books, and, this is being advertised as something that's, kind of like a spin-off, but, I think I should, get behind this. I want to give it a shot. Give these films a shot. And for someone who is coming new into this franchise and only seeing the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them series, I would not recommend doing that. I know it seems like you can go into this without having read the books, because it's not really based on the books. I mean, it's set in the same world, it's just not based on an actual book. And yet, again, they don't really explain much to anyone that is outside. I mean, they go off the assumption that you know everything. I mean, if you don't know, you're going to get lost. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And that's pretty much the message that I'm going to give. It's pretty accurate to the books, from what I know. From what I know from the books, it's pretty accurate, actually. They really go into those details and lore details, basically, the background information, and they nail those. But like I said, if you don't know what's going on, you're going to be lost. That's just a matter of fact. This movie, I thought it actually was going to be better than the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. But honestly, it's not. It's because it's a setup film, there's not much that happens other than setup. You have this feeling that something big is going to happen. But while there is that feeling, that's not going to happen until the fifth movie is done. And so, we have at the very least 2 more years. Definitely not, because I think they're being released every other year. So, there's going to be one in 2020, there's going to be one in 2022, and then there's going to be one in 2024. And by then, that's going to be the final film, assuming that they're doing a 5-part series. And by then, the hype for, the battle, basically, is probably going to be dead. Because, there's all this anticipation and no satisfaction. And I'm not really having high hopes for the middle films. I have high hopes for the 5th film. Again, assuming that's still a 5-part series. I'm assuming I have high hopes for it because I know it's probably going to go down there. I think everyone knows what's going to go down there. But I don't know if it's worth a 5-part series, right? I mean, it was the Fantastic Beasts is still a fantastic film, no pun intended, because you get to see in this world, you get to see this world where the adults live in, and that's a really good selling point. However, recycling that 5 times, not so much. It's interesting seeing the different cultures, seeing Paris, seeing wherever they go next, and seeing all of that. And there are some references, to the books, like Nagini and Lestrange and all of that. But I don't know if it's worth a 5-part series. Honestly, I think they should have gone with 3. They do this, they do the setup, and then they end with the 3rd film being what happens, in the finale. I really think that they should do that. I mean, they haven't started filming the 3rd film yet, so honestly, if they haven't, I would do that. Scrap the 5-part series, say, whatever, just have the resolution in the 3rd film. Because honestly, it needs it. Because this is all being based on the fact that this ends the way it ends. It's all based on this one major thing, and if they wait 4 more films to do that, or I guess 3 more films to do that, it's not going to be good. The middle films aren't going to be good, and by the time we get to the end, it's going to be too late. The hype is already going to be dead. I mean, I kind of like that they're, stretching this whole Dumbledore and Grindewald thing, but at the same time, if you're going on this roller coaster, again, the hype is probably going to die. It probably will. I don't think it can hold up this many films. I really think that this should just be a trilogy. And that's that. But it's not going to be, because, they want to make money off of this. And they really are making money off of this. It just depends on how much. One thing that I didn't like was Queenie. Which, surprisingly, she was actually one of my favorite characters in the first film, but became not so good in the 2nd film. There's just something about her that it didn't really make sense. I mean, it kind of did, it kind of didn't. This whole, Kowalski, romance, basically, I think is what's screwing this character up. I liked the idea of it in the first film, but in the 2nd film, it just seems out of character for Queenie. All of this stuff that happens. Holy crap, was that a spider? That is a spider. Okay. I'm not scared of you, I just, I need to get a tissue. Hang on. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my God. Hang on. spider went. There's a masked one too. I am just going to pretend that I didn't know that it was there. Unless I see it. Okay, so anyways. Before I was really interrupted, I mean, I was really gonna, I don't know. But yeah, anyways, I don't know what I was talking about beforehand. Oh yeah, Queenie. She just seems out of character in the second film. She doesn't seem the same. That's basically what I was going to say. I have no idea where that spider went. I saw it fall on the ground, but I'm not sure where it went. Because I had to get a paper towel and there's nothing down here, so I had to go upstairs. And I think it's gone now. It's not dead, but it's gone. Out of sight. Out of sight, out of mind, right? I mean, it was like this big. So it's pretty big for a spider. At least for ones over here, anyways. I mean, it's not like a tarantula or anything, but it's pretty big. It's Anyways, that's basically all I wanted to say about this. I mean, there's not much else to talk about, really. I mean, there are certain things that also didn't make sense because there's kind of a time jump, and there are things missing that didn't make any sense. Like how why Tina was so upset with Newt's commander, or, why, this and that. Obviously there were, like, plot points to fill in, but it was kind of confusing. Especially since it's not based on books. It was not like they were missing details. These were the details. It's just confusing. Just a little bit. Again, I'm hoping that they resolve this thing in the third film. Because, again, I don't think waiting 5 films is going to do it justice. I really think they need to get to the point by the third film so that we're not left with this, the storyline that won't be resolved until 2024 or 2026 or whatever. Kind of needs to be resolved sometime soon. Maybe 2020. That might do it. I don't know. Anyways, comment down below if you saw the film. What did you think about it? Let me know if you see it. Oh, there it is. I see it. Hang on. I see the spider. Okay, so I got the spider, and now we're all good. Comment down below what you guys think. What you thought about the film. Did you think that it was, I mean, what do you guys think? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Leave a like on this video if you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget to subscribe for more content, and peace out, guys. It's been a blast. I got the spider.